Hi there guys, how are you? Now in this video we'll discuss violence and memory studies. Now यहाँ पे देखो आप, this is the syllabus of Delhi University Masters level और यहाँ पे एक elective है violence and memory studies. ठीक है? First of all let's have a look at the syllabus and try to understand why violence and memory studies is important और useful. ठीक है? Because इसमें UGC NET English में direct सवाल आते हैं violence and memory studies. ठीक है? Though it is a optional elective, yet it is very important. Now if we scroll down, the first thing that we will see is books about the Holocaust, partitions of South Asia in 1947, मतलब India, Pakistan. And then when we scroll down, we also see something about partitions of South Asia in 1971, which is nothing but the liberation of Bangladesh or the creation of Bangladesh. ठीक है? And then again we have another unit within this called Israel and Palestine. Now हम सबको पता है what is going on in Israel and Palestine and Gaza. So that doesn't require any introduction. But all of these are connected with memory and violence studies. ठीक है? Because ultimately literature is about human experiences and this part of literature is about violence and memory studies. So अगर आप कोर्स को यहीं पे देखोगे, 2-3 लाइन क्लियरली इन लोगों ने एक्सप्लेन किया है. This course offers an introduction to the ways in which violence is represented, remembered and memorialized across varied contexts. ठीक है? तो 3 चीज़ें ऐसे लिटरेरी वर्क्स में इंपॉर्टेंट हैं: रिप्रेजेंटेशन, रिमेंबरिंग एंड मेमोरलाइजेशन. ठीक है? उसके बाद देखो ये लास्ट लाइन जो है, The literary and critical readings deal with themes such as trauma, exile, the idea of the refugee, borders and nation state. Now keep in mind that there are so many literary works in the postmodern era that deal with all of these issues, that deal with issues of trauma, exile, idea of refugees, borders and nation state. That is why this part of literature is important, violence and memory studies.
Now before I move ahead, छोटी सी announcement है एक. अगर आप तैयारी कर रहे हैं UGC NET English की, now this is our new website. यहाँ पे full syllabus है, mock tests हैं, PDF notes हैं and also the demo material. And if you scroll down, you'll find the entire demo material. You can go through it. और अगर आप UGC NET की detailed syllabus देखना चाहते हो, just go here, click here and the entire syllabus is available here. Then visit literaturemantra.com. Here you'll find a comprehensive coverage of the syllabus, updated and comprehensive coverage.
So as I said in the beginning that in this video we'll discuss violence and memory studies. ठीक है? थोड़े से डिटेल में देखेंगे हम लोग इसको. So as a definition, memory and or violence and memory studies is a interdisciplinary field. ठीक है? That explores how traumatic historical events such as genocide, war and displacement are remembered, represented and processed through literary texts. ठीक है? It focuses on the interplay between violence, memory and narrative, asking how literature can bear witness to suffering and preserve collective trauma. So 2-3 points यहाँ पे ध्यान देना. Of course, it is about violence in the form of genocide, war, displacement and also how it is remembered and represented. And how literature can bear witness to suffering and preserve the collective trauma. For example, there is a very famous book by Khushwant Singh called A Train to Pakistan. So whatever violence happened in partition or during partition of India and Pakistan, we see a glimpse of that in that novel. Now, key themes and issues. What are the key themes and issues? Now, नाम से ही suggest कर रहा है that it will be about violence. It will be about how that violence is recorded for future generations. So, and what does this field investigate? How trauma disrupts conventional storytelling. Second, the ethics of representing suffering. Third, the role of memory, personal and collective, in shaping historical narratives. उसके बाद what is remembered, silenced or distorted in literary accounts of violence. Now, even if violence is recorded, a lot of horrible things may still not be recorded by the writer because they were so horrible. So, इसी से ये point है that what is remembered, silenced, distorted in literary accounts of violence. Now, some examples can be from the Holocaust. ठीक है? Now, this is a work by Primo Levi. It's called If This Is a Man. After that, Elie Wiesel's work called Night. So, these are basically survivor memoirs that confront the limits of language and memory. After that, Art Spiegelman's Maus. M-A-U-S. Now, this is a graphic novel that explores the inherited trauma and the transmission of memory across generations. Now, there are some other examples also from South Asia, especially during the partition of India and Pakistan. And as I told you, Khushwant Singh's novel Train to Pakistan, a powerful depiction of communal violence and moral ambiguity. And then there is another famous work by Sadat Hasan Manto called Toba Tek Singh. So it is a satirical and poignant portrayal of madness and displacement. Now this is a short story. Probably you have already read this in your undergrad. उसके बाद देखो, there are some other examples also when Bangladesh was liberated, was created. One example is Taslima Nasreen's Lajja. This is a novel about religious persecution and post-war trauma in Bangladesh. After that, Anita Desai's Clear Light of Day. It reflects on memory and familial fragmentation in the shadow of partition. Then we can have some other examples also, this time from Israel and Palestine conflict. One is called Ghassan Kanafani's work called Men in the Sun. This explores Palestinian displacement and existential despair. After that, Susan Abul Hawa's Mornings in Jenin. ठीक है, Mornings in Jenin. This is a multi-generational narrative of trauma and contested memory. So ideally, you should try to read as much as possible if you really want to get a good grasp of this field of memory and violence studies. Now, after that, what about the theoretical frameworks that we have to use to analyze literary works? So it's not about just analyzing the storyline. It's not limited to that. We have to use literary theory. For example, trauma theory has to be used. Trauma theory basically क्या है? It focuses on latency, repetition and the unspeakable. Then post-colonial theory we can use. Then memory studies we have to use. And what is memory studies about? It investigates cultural trauma and collective memory. Then narrative theory, it examines how trauma disrupts linear storytelling. Then the ethics of representation. This also has to be kept in mind. Okay? Considers moral responsibility in depicting suffering. So using all of these frameworks, we have to analyze literary works. Because after all, it's not just about reading about somebody's trauma. It's also about literature. Analyzing literary works. So memory and violence studies can be used to understand how literature mediates historical trauma. Uske baad, it can be used to recognize silenced voices and marginalized experiences. And we can also use the concept of Can the Subaltern Speak, which is by Gayatri Spivak. Uske baad, reflect on politics of remembering and forgetting. Now, historical trauma and violence is something over which always politics is done. Some kind of politics is always at play. So, violence and memory studies can be used to reflect on the politics of remembering and forgetting. So, just keep in mind that if you are a student of Delhi University or any university where violence and memory studies is in the syllabus, then definitely read the critical frameworks to analyze literary works. ठीक है, सिर्फ स्टोरी लाइन एनालाइज करके नहीं होगा, कुछ critical frameworks, critical theories को आप कोट करना, and then only your answers will be better. And then remember that there are direct questions in UGC NET also. And in case you are preparing for UGC NET, then just contact us on this number 7678160296.